Hey Tim, thanks for finding time for this call. How you doing today?
Good. How are you, Victor?
Very good, thanks. Listen, let's just dive deep. So if you could just introduce yourself real quick and just tell us a bit about yourself.
My name is Tim Freeman. I'm the Director of Development and IT Operations for OpenReel. OpenReel is a web-based remote video creation platform for recording, editing, and hosting. So we're based out of New York. We're a fully remote team, and I live outside of Chicago, Illinois.
Or what challenges did you bring to uSoftware when you started working with us?
Our introduction to the uSoftware was probably a little bit different than maybe some other people were. We went through an acquisition, and the company that we were working with or acquiring was already working with uSoftware at that time. At least initially, what happened was it was kind of bringing that team over as part of working with the tech and understanding the new platform and figuring out how we were going to integrate that into our platform. And then basically from there, our continued relationship with uSoftware really changed or expanded in terms of incorporating into our base platform from what we were doing previously. Now that we had, kind of an understanding, we were able to see how uSoftware worked. It was an appealing opportunity for us to kind of expand our usage within the teams that we already had in place as well.
Do you remember of the starting point? Any numbers back then? So where did you guys start when we started working with you?
Yeah, when we started, let's see. I think we had the existing team had 2, I think, from you guys, and they came over. I know for that team, we expanded up to 3, and then, just as things continued to evolve, our staffing numbers as a collective or as a whole, it's been an interesting couple years, so there's been some up and down with that. At one point we expanded up to 5 with different teams. And then, where we're sitting at now is that we have a team of 2 guys that are working on, one of the main applications on our platform. We've had them for a couple years now, and things are going great. We haven't needed any additional expansion or haven't been able to do any additional expansion. But, when that opportunity presents itself, uSoftware is gonna be the first person we call.
That's good. Good to hear. Thanks. What goals did you pursue with collaboration with uSoftware?
Yeah, I think, our main goals is just like with any vendor that we work with when it comes from a development perspective is that, finding guys that could join the team that could intermingle with the team that we already had in place and immediately start contributing in short order, and continue to work on developing the application and the platform collectively as a whole.
How do you feel about working with uSoftware team, both the dev team and the other team members?
Yeah, I think that given some of the other, either agencies or farms that we've worked with in the past, I think one of the biggest differences that I've observed is the ongoing and continuing communication, not just from the resources and working with the teams that they are themselves, but actually with uSoftware itself. The frequency of which we can regularly meet with, kind of the HR team and then our account manager is really up to us. I think that they would meet with me every week if I asked them to, but we space it out a little bit more because we've had an established or ongoing relationship. But I think that's one of the bigger differentiators is that just the insights and the additional information that they come back with, in terms of, recently the HR side provided us kind of some satisfaction feedback that they conducted from the team. Because again, a lot of times, people don't always say anything if they're happy or if they're unhappy, but at least when prompted here, it was able to us to get some additional insights without having to take that step ourselves.
How long did it take you to get any measurable results working with your software? If you had any specific milestones in mind?
Yeah, so there wasn't, we didn't have a specific project or a feature or anything like that that we were specifically developing that we were looking for USoft for. It was really when we brought the team on, we started to see kind of measurable contribution from the team. I would say realistically in the first couple of weeks. There's a ramp period, just like anytime you bring someone else on board. But in terms of once the team had a chance to review the existing code base and really start to get working on that, they started to contribute with user stories and tasks. Like I said, probably within the first couple weeks of them being on board.
What were your most significant breakthroughs working with your software?
I think one of the things that was at least most beneficial to us or helpful, was the transparency in terms of how the pricing and the agreements were structured. It was very clear in terms of, out of the monthly cost that we were committing to any of the resources, what was going to them versus what was going to the management component of things. And that there was just consistency there. I think that's some of the challenges that you always run into is that what you're paying the vendor that you're working with, but you don't necessarily know what that translates to the talent or to the contractor, to the employee that is actually getting paid on the other side of it. So, that's the transparency that's been nice from it, especially when it comes for things like salary reviews and things like that. We know what they're being paid currently, and then we know kind of what they're looking for and what kind of impact any change would make to them directly instead of more or less just paying it to a vendor and hoping that at least some of that or most of that is actually getting to the talent themselves.
So why working with your software? How do you see this company or us different from other vendors if you can compare?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I know I mentioned previously that communication has been very different in terms of, regularly checking in with us, asking for feedback about the talent that we're working with, the team that we're working with, along with providing us any feedback or insight or information that they have. I think that no one's been pushy about anything in terms of expansion or team growth. It's really general understanding of what our business needs are and working with us for that in the instances where we've wanted to source or at least look for what kind of talent might be out there for a new role. It's been a quick process in terms of actually starting to see some candidates sooner rather than later when providing a JD in terms of what we might be looking for and just understanding what's out there. And then, again, willingness to work with us when it comes to budget or when, business might not be where it needs to be, right? And finding creative solutions to work with us so that, again, we don't have to get rid of anyone that we would like to keep strictly from a budgetary, reasoning or anything like that, but figuring out creative solutions to help us, buy some time, get to the next quarter, find the next milestone, and kind of wait for things to get back on the upswing.
What would you recommend or what would you say to someone who plans working with your software?
What my recommendation would be is to, I guess, get comfortable with the people that you work with. And the current team that we have right now, again, we've had for a couple of years. They haven't changed over. There's been no turnover or anything like that. So I think really you're setting yourself up for, a relationship or almost like that full-time employee versus, a contractor where they decide tomorrow that they're going to go work on a different project or something else, right? So you're really getting more of a, I guess, a commitment and a relationship with the team that you end up working with versus sometimes where it can feel very impersonable and kind of cold.
Well, it's been pleasure working with you. I hope you're gonna grow the collaboration, and I think it's been a while now, and you guys been one of the first clients we've signed with, and I think since then we've signed with dozens of others. But honestly, OpenReel and Balloon, which the original company was, I think it has a special place at uSoftware for sure.
Yeah, and it's been great working with you guys, and we look forward to continuing the collaboration. And if you're thinking about finding a team, I would recommend contacting Victor and use software to see what they can do for you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.